Okay, friends, so let's just do this one quick question right here, which is to calculate the 3 different slopes that we've got along that graph. You might notice that they're getting less tilty as we move left to right. So first, between birth and year 1, there is a line segment indicating the change over that time of the pet years versus the human years. So you might notice that from year 0 to year 1, the kitty or the dog picks up 15 years. That's how much it rises for the run of 1 human year. So for the first one, between 0 and 1 year, it rises 15 pet years while it runs 1 human year. So the slope is just 15 over 1. That's it. Nothing fancy or crazy right here. The slope's just 15 over 1. So the tilt of that line is 15 to 1. It goes up 15 and it goes to the right 1. Okay? Let's do the next section next. Okay, so the next little line is not quite as tilted. So the 15 goes like this, and then the next one kind of tilts down like this. The question is, how tilted is it? Well, between years 1 and 2, it rises an additional 9. Because remember, at the end of 2 years, your pet is 24 pet years. But that means it was already at 15, so it only picks up 9 more. So it's 9 pet years of rise for only 1 human year again. For only 1 human year. So the slope, once again, is just 9 over 1. I mean, you could put units on these if you want to. 9 pet years for 1 human year. I'm going to resist doing that only because the slopes are changing. So you don't want to extend this past 1 year. So in the second year of life, for that second year, for that 1 year between year 1 and 2, your kitty or your puppy picks up 9 pet years. Now let's look at the last slope, which is actually made up of lots and lots of years from beginning of year 2 all the way to the end of year 14. Let's look at that next. Okay, so this one's more fun, I think, because it's a segment that's made up of lots of places you can kind of stop in the middle. Now you could have also done this in the previous ones too, but they aren't discretely marked. This one, if you start at year 2, and let's suppose you go from year 2 to year 3. Well, from year 2 to year 3, you've started at 2 and gone to 3. That means you have run 1 year, and you've picked up 4 additional years, because that's what happens between year 2 and year 3. So the slope would be 4 over 1. But let's suppose you start at year 2 and go to year 4. Well, if you start at year 2 and go to year 4, that's 2 human years. And your pets have picked up 8 pet years in that same time. So that slope would be 8 over 2. But hopefully you realize that a slope of 8 over 2 and a slope of 4 over 1 are the same slope. And here's what's kind of cool. You can do this anywhere you want along the way. Anywhere you want along the way. You could go out 3 years, which would be a pickup of 12 pet years. And that would be 12 over 3, which is the same as 8 over 2, which is the same as 4 over 1. Once you've established that the line makes sense there, you can subdivide it up any way you want to. You could even subdivide it up fractionally if you wanted to. Not saying you would. But suppose suppose you run only a half a human year. Well, that would be 2 pet years, right? If you go half as long, then the pets are going to age half as much. Well, that's going to be 2 over a half, which is the same thing as 4. So, I mean, you can chop it up any way you want to. The idea is, though, with these animal years, is you've got these 3 distinct aging patterns. The first year of life is very steep, meaning that the animal is picking up a lot of aging in that first year. The second year of life, not quite as steep. And the end of the second year through the 14th year, less steep even. So it goes from 15 to 1 to 9 to 1 to 4 to 1. Now, later on, we're going to see what happens past age 14. But for right now, let's regroup and talk about those 15, 9, and 4 to 1s.